Hey everyone, and welcome back. You ready to dive into a case that's got more twists and turns than a desert road?
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay, great. Let's get into it. We're looking at the murder of Nathan Payet,
Hey.
an Air Force staff sergeant in
hmm
his Las Vegas home back in 2010.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
I've heard of this one.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Have you looked into it much?
Not too deep. I know the basics, yeah.
Okay, well then let's get into the nitty-gritty here. So picture this. Decorated veteran,
Great.
loving family, the whole nine yards, everything's perfect,
Yeah.
and suddenly his life is cut short.
Sad.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so the question is, what went wrong?
Right.
What went wrong?
It's
Yeah.
sad. It's a real head
It is
scratcher.
a real head scratcher. What's super intriguing to me about this case
Yeah.
is that it really like flips the script on the typical whodunit, right? Like we've
Yes.
got court records, we've got testimonies. You even shared a true crime podcast episode with me.
Right.
And they all sort of paint this picture of a seemingly perfect life that is just totally shattered by
This web of deceit.
this web of deceit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of unbelievable, right?
It is.
Like, we're talking about a young man back from serving in Iraq, has a wife, 4 kids.
Wow, yeah.
He's building a life, working hard, and then bam, murdered in his own garage.
Tragic.
It's really tragic. It makes you think, like, who could possibly want to do something like this?
Yeah. So, and that's where it gets really interesting, right?
Right.
So the police immediately, they knew something was off about this
Right.
guy.
Yeah.
This was not your typical robbery, random robbery.
Yeah.
His wallet was still there. The house was untouched. It felt very, very personal.
Targeted.
Targeted, exactly. So as they kind of dug a little deeper, they started looking more into the people closest to him.
His inner circle.
Exactly, his inner circle.
Okay.
Specifically, his wife, Michelle.
Okay, so Michelle. So get this.
Yeah.
Michelle's behavior after the murder, it was strange. Yeah, let's just say it raised some eyebrows. Imagine, right? You're witnessing your husband being shot,
Oh, my God.
dying in your arms.
Horrible.
And the first thing you do is tell the police about an alleged affair you're having.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Not only that, she names the guy Michael Rodriguez
Okay.
and even mentions that he drives a black Cadillac. And guess what?
What?
A black Cadillac was spotted fleeing the scene.
Oh, God.
It's almost too convenient, right?
It is.
It is. It is.
Crazy.
But here's where the digital age comes in. This is where
Oh.
things get
Interesting, yeah.
So this case really hinges on the power of digital forensics,
I see.
right? So investigators uncovered all of these cryptic texts between Michelle and Michael, and they were using this coded language, stuff like contract.
Contract.
Yeah.
What do you think that means?
Well, I mean, what do you think contract means in this context?
Probably not a good thing.
Probably not, right? And hold on to your hats because these messages were being sent right up to the moment of Nathan's death.
No way.
Yeah, it's pretty chilling.
Wow. Yeah.
It's like watching a crime unfold in real time, but just through text messages.
That's crazy.
And it doesn't stop there.
Yeah.
When you piece those messages together with security footage from around Las Vegas, it really starts to paint a pretty damning picture.
Right.
The footage actually contradicts Michael's alibi
Oh, wow.
and places him near the crime scene at the time of the murder.
So he's lying.
Yeah.
Busted.
Busted.
Well,
So the digital trail rarely lies, huh?
no, it does not. It's really fascinating how, those seemingly harmless messages could be the key to cracking a case.
Yeah.
And it was this evidence that led to a major, major turning point in the investigation.
Okay.
Picture this. The day of Nathan's memorial service, his family is there, grappling with this unimaginable loss.
Right.
The police bring Michelle back in for questioning.
Oh, man. Talk about
Talk about pressure.
pressure. Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine the weight of that moment.
Oh, yeah.
Her husband's family is there. Her own world is falling apart.
Yeah.
She's facing detectives who are really starting to see through her facade.
Right.
What happens next?
Well, she cracks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Under all that pressure, Michelle confesses to the entire plot,
Wow.
implicates herself and Michael in the murder of her husband,
No way.
and a motive.
Life insurance money.
Exactly.
Uh,
A staggering $650,000.
wow. It's a classic tale of greed and betrayal.
It is.
But the chilling details of their conspiracy are really what make this case so disturbing.
Right.
So from the sources you shared, it seems like they had been plotting this murder for months.
Oh, wow.
And they even explored all these different scenarios, like staging a robbery or a kidnapping.
Jeez.
But what really gets me is the cold, detached way they discuss it all through text.
Yeah.
They're using this casual language and even emojis to talk about taking a life.
Emojis. Come on.
I know the casualness of it all is just
It's unsettling.
unsettling.
Yeah.
It really makes you think about how technology might be changing the way we perceive the gravity of our actions, you know? There's this strange disconnect between the seriousness of their plan and the nonchalant tone of their messages. It's a scary thought, right?
It is scary.
The idea that someone can, like, compartmentalize such a horrific act and just discuss it as if they're, you know, planning a grocery list or something.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's wild. And remember, they weren't alone in all of this. Michelle's confession actually led police to others who had helped Michael cover up the crime.
Oh, gee.
Including destroying evidence.
Wow. This just keeps getting deeper and deeper.
It does. It does. And that's where we'll wrap up part 1 of our deep dive.
Okay.
Stay tuned. We're going to unpack the legal proceedings and the impact that this crime had on Nathan's family.
Can't wait. Sounds good.
So we've got a conspiracy going on, a cover-up, betrayal pretty much everywhere you look. What happened next?
Well, everyone involved faced justice.
Okay, good.
Yeah. All 4 conspirators were arrested
Okay.
and charged.
Wow.
Conspiracy to commit murder, burglary with a deadly weapon, and of course the murder itself. I mean, the evidence is overwhelming.
It really does sound like an open and shut case at this point. But earlier you mentioned that their cases were severed. What does that mean exactly?
So severing cases means that each defendant is tried separately,
Okay.
not all together in one big trial.
Gotcha.
It's a legal strategy
Okay.
that the defense often uses when they believe it'll give their client a better chance at maybe a less severe sentence.
Interesting. So it's kind of like a divide and conquer tactic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And in this case, it may have played a role in the outcomes.
Okay.
So Michael Rodriguez,
Right.
the one who orchestrated this whole thing,
Right.
went to trial first. Remember all those incriminating text messages?
Oh,
The security footage. It was a mountain of evidence.
Yeah.
He was found guilty on all counts.
Wow. So what kind of sentence are we talking about here?
Well, he was facing the death penalty.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But he ended up taking a plea deal.
Okay.
Life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Yeah.
He'll spend the rest of his life behind bars.
A life sentence.
Yeah.
That's a heavy consequence.
It is.
As it should be, right?
Absolutely.
But what about Michelle?
Yeah.
I mean, she was Nathan's wife, the mother of his children.
Right.
Did she show any remorse at all for what she did?
Well, Michelle also took a plea deal
Okay.
before her trial could even begin. She was also facing, the death penalty,
Right.
but chose life without parole instead.
Wow.
And from what I read in the court records, her demeanor during the sentencing
Yeah.
was a far cry from the seemingly carefree woman who sent those chilling texts.
I bet. Yeah. I mean, you'd think the weight of her actions would have finally hit her at that point.
It certainly seemed that way.
Okay.
There are reports of her breaking down in court, expressing regret for the pain that she caused. But let's be real. Nothing could truly erase the damage that she inflicted. Not just on Nathan,
Right.
but on their 4 innocent children who are now left without both parents.
It's heartbreaking.
It's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
It's a tragedy.
It is. And speaking of the family, how did Nathan's loved ones cope with this? I mean, it's just devastating betrayal.
It's almost impossible to comprehend what they went through, right?
Yeah.
Imagine traveling all the way from Guam to attend your son's memorial service,
Right.
only to find out that his wife was the one behind it all.
Oh my gosh, the betrayal.
The grief,
Yeah.
the anger,
True.
unimaginable.
But what's really remarkable is that despite the immense pain they were going through, they chose to oppose the death penalty for Michelle.
Really? Why would they do that after everything she put them through? It's incredible, right? They're victim impact statements. They're documented in the court records.
Yeah.
They're very powerful. They talk about seeking justice, not revenge. They talk about the unbearable loss, the impact on the children, the cruel irony of Nathan surviving a war zone,
Right.
only to be murdered at home by someone he loved. But in the end, they offered Michelle forgiveness.
Forgiveness. That's almost superhuman.
I know, right?
I can't even imagine finding that kind of strength after such a horrific event. What does that tell us about them, about Nathan?
It really speaks volumes about their character
Yeah.
and the values that Nathan lived by. even in the face of unimaginable tragedy,
Yeah.
they chose compassion over hatred. It's a real testament to Nathan's legacy.
That's really beautiful. Yeah. This wasn't just a case about murder.
No.
It was about love, loss, betrayal, and ultimately the power of forgiveness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. It's a story that makes you question everything you think you know about human nature. And it really highlights the profound and lasting impact of our choices. So, with the trials over, the sentences are handed down. What happened to everyone involved?
Right.
What happened after the dust settled? It's hard to imagine, right? What happens after a story like this?
Yeah.
Life sentences, but I mean, life goes on for everyone else. So, where does that leave Michelle and Michael, and more importantly, Nathan's kids?
Well, both Michelle Payet and Michael Rodriguez are currently serving their sentences. No possibility of parole. They'll spend the rest of their lives behind bars, really facing the consequences of their actions. It's a harsh but necessary reminder that some choices, well, they just have irreversible consequences.
And the kids, where are they now? Are they okay?
Yeah. Thankfully, they were spared from, the trauma of a trial and all that.
Yeah.
They went back to Guam to be raised by Nathan's family.
Okay.
Surrounded by, their love and support. At least they have a chance at a somewhat normal life.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. It's good to hear that. Surrounded by people who love their father. That's a bit of light in all of this.
Definitely. It's a small comfort, but it's something.
It is something. And they'll grow up knowing their father was a hero in service to his country, and just the way he lived his life, his legacy lives on through them.
Absolutely. And, this case, it's been a roller coaster, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Betrayal, loss, forgiveness.
It really makes you think. Even in the digital age with all the, seemingly fleeting messages and virtual interactions, our actions have real world consequences. It's a powerful lesson.
It is.
And one we can all learn from. I think this deep dive, it wasn't just about a crime.
No.
It was about, the ripple effects of betrayal,
Right.
the complexities of forgiveness, and the strength of family.
Yeah, you really hit the nail on the head.
Thanks.
It forces us to confront that darker side of human nature.
Yeah.
The greed and the deceit that exists, even in those closest to us.
It's true. And this whole thing really highlights the importance of digital forensics in investigations.
Mhm. Yeah.
Those text messages, the ones with the casual language and emojis, they became this crucial evidence that helped bring the perpetrators to justice. I mean, it really is a reminder that our digital footprints, they can have some serious real world implications.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, right? It's an invaluable tool for law enforcement.
Yeah.
But it emphasizes the need for all of us to be more mindful in our digital lives.
That's for sure. Every click, every like, every message leaves a trace.
It does.
Well, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought. We've seen the darkest depths of betrayal, but also the incredible power of forgiveness. We've seen a side of human nature that we often choose to ignore. So my question to you and to our listeners is this. What surprised you the most about this case? And what does it tell us about the choices we make every single day and the impact those choices have, not only on ourselves, but on everyone around us?
It's a story that really stays with you, makes you think about your own life and the people in it and what really matters. It's been a fascinating deep dive.
It has. Thanks for joining me.
Of course, my pleasure.